Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien, coming to you live from TFNN, Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, final hour of the trading day. And we got a little tariff concerns ratcheting back up. Nonetheless, you're talking about 61.94 in the S&Ps. That would have been a record high anytime before 2 p.m. Eastern Time yesterday. So, yes, you pull back a bit. Nonetheless, markets right near record highs. You have a VIX right now with a 16 handle. So the market not really putting too much strength into this, but nonetheless, it shows that volatility can pop up as it has. When you talk about the U.S., you talk about Canada, and let's get into it as we wrap around. So digital taxes, they're going to become, we're going to be talking about these this weekend with Canada. Trump says he's terminated trade talks with Canada. Now, what this gets into, okay, he talks about farmers, and then he talks about digital services tax on American tech companies. He's standing up for the tech companies. Watch out. Which is a direct and blatant attack on our country. Okay. Now, what this has to do with is that this is going to be the first payment from tech companies to the Canadian government over the digital service tax. That's a levy on revenue that companies make from Canadian users. So imagine that's like, Amazon's going to have to start paying taxes every time to the Canadian government that they sell something to a Canadian user. Okay, the tax would likely cost U.S. tech companies billions of dollars. It includes retroactive taxes on sales going back to 2022. The initial payment could be up to $3 billion and annual payments north of $1 billion. Now, the bigger worry here is that tech companies are worried that everybody's going to follow suit on Canada's lead. And taxes on revenue made in other countries, this is how the Journal puts it, would reduce the amount of money the tech sector can invest in the U.S. industry executives. That's what the tech execs say. Don't tax us because we can, and yes, it's true to a certain degree. That's what they say about any taxes. True to a certain degree, right? But nonetheless, that's what's at stake, and it's going to begin. And yeah, you have all the tech execs sitting there for the inauguration. And yeah, here we go. The battle's on, man. And they've stopped the talks. We'll see where we go from there. But yeah, the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement that Trump negotiated in the first term, allows Canada to impose tariffs on dairy products after a set amount has been imported tariff-free. And that's, of course, to protect Canadian dairy producers, and American farmers oppose them. So there's a couple things at stake, man. High stakes, as high stakes as those negotiations get. And they pop up again this afternoon. And S&Ps pull back. And we take a look at this on the daily. Okay, let's talk a little bit of price and volume. And yeah, we've been trailing off a bit. We've been talking about it. Okay, not exactly like you like to see on a weekly basis, though. Pretty strong, right? Hold on one sec. All right, not sure why that's not collecting just yet. Let's back it up to the NASDAQ. We'll take a look at the SPY. Yeah, decent volume on this weekly, man. Check it out. All right, this is going to be the most volume on a weekly basis we've had since April 7th. That's how you break out of a high, man. All right, so SPY's looking strong. We're up to 616. We're trading at 612 right now, but we make our way. S&P's back into positive territory. Man, it'd be remarkable if this market just shakes it off yet again. But the worst of the fears, they're not in this market right now. All right, S&P's up by 1. NASDAQ barely into the red. Dow plowing higher near 44,000. We hit 44,000 briefly in the Dow. 44,288, I say briefly, as in we climb over there this morning. We're back under 44 grand, 43,949. And yeah, yields with a little action on some tariff news. Dollar up to 97.50 after having a 96 print. 97 on the dot, really. Yeah, 97 on the dot this morning. We're trading at 97.38, and gold. Quite a day to the downside for gold on a Friday. You bid from that 32.66 price point, but gold down $62, down almost 2% right now. You jump over to silver, down 78 pennies, off 2.1% right now. Copper down only 15 pennies. And how about platinum getting smacked? Yeah, platinum down from $14.40 to $13.50, down $65 on the session, extending what was happening on yesterday afternoon as well. All right, so you come into this morning, of course, with the news that the U.S. and China, they've inked a deal. We got economic data this morning, and we get a Fed that seems like they're in line to begin cutting, not next month, and even though some governors are going to push for it, but it seems like Powell's pushing for the month following in terms of middle of September. You make it through the summer. He's talked about they want some months of data. That'll be when you get months of data. You make it through, and you always wonder how. And, it's not necessarily game theory, but it is a little bit, right? You have a team of Fed governors. Their goal is to push their own narrative while pushing the narrative of where they're all going. And you have a couple governors coming out and saying they might be ready next month. You have the chairman coming out and saying he wants months of data. Seems like the push is on, that it's going to be where you have some participants ready to go. Chairman's not there, but guess what? Come September, if the data stays where it is, and there's no surprises, I think we'll see a cut by then. And I think that's where the market's been adjusting to. And that could be which lifts this market yet again. It could, because if this is the beginning, I was laying this out this morning, but you're talking about a 10-year right now, okay, pushing 4.29%. And this has not made the move yet, okay, as in, yes, we got higher price band dramatically, as in, what do we, almost 5 full points from where we were in January, okay, when we were approaching a 5% yield, right? We were approaching 3.6% back here. We're only at 4.25. There is still room to go if the market really picks up, that the cuts are going to come, 2 or 3 of them at least. And what I was talking about this morning is if Chairman Powell is going to begin cutting in September, which it really looks like he is right now, then it's on. Because if he starts cutting in September, you're going to have a new Fed chairman nominated as early as September, October, according to some articles. Fed chair usually gets nominated 3 to 4 months, so he's definitely going to be along that timeline. And 3 to 4 months means January or February, we're going to have a new Fed chair. July is Tuesday, folks, and we're going to have a new Fed chair, and that's at the latest, let alone if he comes in early. So the market, I think, is opening itself up. But guess what? Inflation, that could be a thorn. Not so much just yet. All right, folks, stay tuned. We'll come back. We'll take a look at some individual equities. We'll talk some Nike. Don't go away.
If you spend